English AST Sophie Hallaker demonstrates how she helps her students make progress through the 2 stars and a wish, comment-only marking system.
Here I've got a book from one of my Year 11 students. One of the most important things that I think I'm doing with them and have done with them from the beginning is get them really involved in their own marking and their own assessment. So a technique that I use is called 2 stars and a wish. So I have a little stamp which actually creates 2 stars and a wish on their page, and the students then, when they've done a piece of work, they can either peer assess it or self-assess it. And they use green pen to do that so that I can easily check that in their books that they've done it. So their stars are 2 things that they've done well. So they would say, I like the way you have, and their wish would be something that they could have improved, and they'll say, I wish you had. At the beginning, when you first introduce this idea to them, they tend to pick up on something that's quite vague. So I like the way you explain, or I wish you'd done more detail, or I wish you'd done more explaining, and they tend to be quite vague about that. But as they get more adept at using this process, they tend to make more perceptive comments. So something that I try to get them to do is to link their feedback to the mark scheme. So they'll think about what the grade criteria are and how they can step up or down between them, and they'll try and pick out something that the other student has done well from the mark scheme. So they might pick something from the D bands and say, I like the way you have used short quotes and explained what the quotes show. And then to move that up to the next grade, they'll choose a wish. Their wish would be something from the next grade up that they haven't actually managed to do in that essay, and they'd try and pick something from the grade band and put it in as their wish. So you can see as they go through and they become more confident with doing that, they tend to make less vague statements, and it's actually more like something that you would write as their teacher, which is useful as a teacher because it helps you with your marking, but also it helps the students to really understand what they're doing nicely and what they still need to do to improve. At the very beginning of the year, when I first started teaching this particular class, she's sort of aiming. She thinks that she'll have to work really hard to get a D. Then she's aiming to get a final grade of a C. And you can see actually just visually going through her book, she starts off not making very developed responses, and it's a lovely example actually of the progression, because you can see that she's gradually making longer responses, and they get really developed here, and she's really getting the hang of these. And actually by the end of the first half term, so it's only 6 weeks after the first comment that she made there, she's made a comment saying that she's now she's happy with what she's getting, but she wants to improve, and she wants to get a C or a B. So she's actually moved her aspirations up towards the possibility of getting a B, which is very encouraging, because she's obviously taking on board the comments that are being made and the comments that she's now capable of making, and knowing how to move up to the higher grade. From my perspective, the real difference that this type of marking can make, so being selective, using peer assessment, self-assessment, the 2 stars and a wish, I think it really helps the student to feel they know where they're going with their learning, and to really feel that actually, yes, they can become an expert in this subject. And I think it can really encourage the whole group of students that you're working with, because they don't just feel that it's something that the teacher has to do and that's that, and there's no way you can improve it, but it's a real sense of it being an ongoing process and something that they can develop and they can always improve on.